Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the performance module, right? We've done the membership, we did the bookings in the website last week. We've pretty much taken care of payments already, that section. So the final one here is the performance module. As you can see, we've got a variety of different competition formats. So depending on, the resources available at your club, how many members you've got, and what the best option you might think it is to get your members playing more squash. We'll basically go through the different options right now, and then you can see they all basically vary in functionality. Some are obviously more individual based. There's a couple that have team options. So again, depending on how many members you've got at the club and how many you're trying to get onto a court in a structured sort of way, then there's going to be one option probably or two options that might make more sense. So I don't want to get, each one of these competition formats kind of has its own admin panel and own functionality set. So we're not going to go into every single tool and feature available. We've already seen a lot as well, just from, previous webinars. But I definitely want to give a good overview of each one, so you have an idea of like what functionality, how flexible it is, just so that it makes it a little easier when you're deciding what type of an event you want to run at your club. So we'll start at the top here with box leagues. Everyone should be somewhat familiar with the box league. It's pretty much like an institution from the squash clubs over the years, and I think most clubs still operate some form of either a box league or a ladder. So basically I've already come here and created just as you can see, club box league. It's only because the very first time that you set up the league, you have to add some players in manually, which is using the search, and that can take a couple of minutes. So just to save us time, I've already set up the league itself. So let's just take a quick look at it. Similar to many of our other competition elements, it's all kind of based on one page, whether you're an admin or a regular club member. You should be able to get to do everything that you need to do from the one page. So as you can see, I've just created two boxes. I put 10 players in initially. I've actually just added myself to this one here so we can switch between admin and non-admin. But very basically, when you go yourself, you're going to create a brand new box league today. When you click create box league, you get to the box settings page. So same as a tournament, which we'll look at in a minute, same as everything else. When you first create, you've got that page, which is base settings. So you give it a name, you choose what sport you're playing, all the basics. Again, you're probably not going to come back here and adjust anything too often, but it's just that first page where you set the base settings. So again, name, point system, ranked. Well, let's just have a very quick refresher here. If I'm just gonna switch to the non-admin account. Well, I've already seen this in previous suspect internet right here. Basically, the goal is obviously to get your members playing more. Doesn't matter which competition format you choose. Any match that's entered into the system against your profile is going to come up on your match history. Now, this first column here on the left, you can see the different types. So this is a challenge match. That's a non-structured, like no competition format. You've just gone up to somebody at the club, found them that you want to play, and you can just come into SportyHQ.com and then click enter results, and you can enter a friendly and you can enter a challenge. So there's the challenge. There'll be a friendly down here somewhere. Here's a tournament match. Here's a league match. So just different types of match, but of course they're all impacting your profile. Obviously, every match is recorded, goes into your match history, so you can see the results and the impact on your SportyHQ rating. This is our out-of-the-box sort of head-to-head algorithm. It is also possible to have all your club results get sent to squash level, so that's an option you can talk to us about if you are coming on board. But we basically have one baked in. This is the one where if you go to your profile, you're going to see a SportyHQ rating, the confidence that the system has in your rating, how many matches you played, ranking lists that you're a part of because of the rating that you have. But it all stems from your match history. So again, regardless of what competition format you're using at the club, the idea is that players will be recording more data for the system, more data for the ranking algorithm to make their rating more accurate. And of course, it just breeds competition. You're just trying to motivate people to play more and help on the improvement side of things with this number that you can impact by the more you play. Right, so let's jump back in and take a look at these different competition formats. I'm going to switch back to my admin profile here. Definitely should have improved my internet connection before this. Should be okay though, quite bad admin. Okay, so first of all, I'll just quickly run through the admin buttons on the Box League, as you can see here, just to get an idea of the flexibility, and then from a player perspective, and then we can move on. So create a new box cycle. Obviously, I've just created one here, 1st of April to 1st of May. When you go to create your new cycle, you're essentially just putting in dates, and you can come here and edit them if you want. That's the typical structure of a Box League, right? It's not scheduled in a sense. Like, we have options where you will schedule all the matches, and there'll actually be a lineup where players are expected to show up at a certain club, obviously this club, or your club, at a certain time, and they'll be playing a certain person, and that will all be in the system and sort of predetermined. The Box League is more open. They basically, the idea is that you give someone, or you give the players, a specific period of time where they have to play their matches. And obviously the idea is that they want to play as many as possible, because there's a point system based around it. And you get promoted or relegated depending on your final positions in that cycle. So the onus is really on you. The impetus to arrange matches, to get your boxes played, is down to you, less so than the admin, whereas other ones are more structured, and you can take advantage of the scheduling features that kind of enforce the play. So it really depends. As you can see here, these are admin buttons. Okay, we're going to switch to non-admin just 1 second, but I can print the boxes out if I want to stick them up at the club and have people just, type maybe whatever, paper and pen down there, and you can record the matches that way. Obviously easier if you can have players come here to the Box League page. As an admin, I'm seeing enter result for everybody. As soon as I switch to non-admin, of course, I'm only going to be able to enter results for myself. So emailing all box participants, again, this is an admin tool. So you can deselect anybody you want here from the left, and you can send out a message. Typically used when a new cycle is created, just to let people know that it's live, that the event has been published, the dates, and then they're off, and they can start arranging their matches. Edit box details, we just looked at, was the date. Move player positions. So basically, once let's say it's end of April now, and all the matches have been played, you'd hit mark completed. Mark completed essentially archives this month's cycle. So, your 1st of April to the 1st of May goes into the previous results section here. So this whole cycle off the page will disappear. And once it's been marked completed, you can then create a new box cycle that will bring in the people from your previous boxes and give you the opportunity for the system to do promotions and relegations. So we have 3 options. One is no promotion, no relegation. One is 1 up, 1 down. And then the other is the top 2 go up and the bottom 2 go down. So that's basically what happens in the cycle itself. So from an admin perspective, you're, at the beginning, actually setting up the boxes the very first time can be a little bit labor intensive, because you've got to add all these in with a search. But after that, when you create a new cycle, it should be just a case of entering in the new dates, choosing what you want the system to do in terms of who won, who lost, and whether they're moving up or down and what have you. And then the final thing is the sign up. So the idea here is that if I'm in a box and then let's say I'm moving away or going on holiday, or I've just injured myself, I can come here and opt out. When you opt out and you're going through that new cycle, it will for an admin, it will automatically remove that person from the next cycle. And if I've opted in, let's say the box is halfway through the cycle and I'm not able to join, I can opt in so that the admin can see that I've said I want to play, and that when they create a new cycle, my name will be there on a list. So what that screen looks like, I'm trying to not go through the whole process of running a box, because we don't want to spend too much time on this particular option. But basically, this is the page you get to. This is a drag and drop, so you can move people around, you can move people down into different boxes. And then over on the right here, this is where you would see a list of players that have opted in, and it's just a drag, so you can drag their name right over into whatever box you want to add them to. And then you can see here it says players that have opted out have been automatically removed. So the idea is the player can manage their own participation in the Box League without too much effort from the admin. Like I said, really for the admin perspective, it's at the beginning of the cycle just to set the new dates, to say what happened to the players in the previous box, and to add in any that want to be added in. And then they shouldn't be too involved really until that next cycle comes about. So the onus is really on the players to manage their own participation, to enter their own results, everything like that. So if I switch now, you can see also, obviously, during the box, let's say, during the cycle rather, let's say I want to add people in, maybe there's still plenty of time and I don't want to make them wait till the next one. It's really easy to come here. I can add another box. You can see I've got a box 3 added, and then I can just go to add player. This is the process I was talking about earlier, where you just have to type in the name of the person. There we go, user, that'll do. And you can just see that they're added in. Okay, so in the UI here, you can see this garbage can. That's how you get rid of any player if you want to remove them. The arrows, okay, so this one would obviously promote Mina up to box 1, as you can see now. And you can, relegate, it's the same person, relegate Alicia here down to box 3. So from this one page, like, it does give you some flexibility within the cycle to add boxes, remove boxes, add players, delete them, move them up and down. So it's not like you, as an admin, you're locked out or anything during the cycle. I just meant earlier that, generally speaking, the admin, I guess, intensive time, or the time where, you're going to be logging in to get things ready, is typically at the beginning and the end, and the system is designed with that opt-in, opt-out option to make that as easy as possible. But it's pretty flexible apart from that. Like I said, you can rename the boxes if you want. Maybe you want to call this one Premiere or whatever it may be. As an admin, I can enter results for everyone. I can communicate with people via the email all. I can move people around, add them. Basically, everything I need to do, I can do it from this page. If I switch to a non-admin role, and I can see, just switching over now, you can see that I've lost all those admin buttons that we just ran through. Obviously, I'm no longer able to enter any of the results for other players. I can just enter my own. So I've just switched down to user. I've just in a box with one other person, so I've just got that one option here. The other thing that we didn't see previously is email all players in my box. So obviously the idea behind that is just to make it easy to, as soon as the new cycle has been released and you want to start organizing your game, if I go to email all players, well, typically there would be a list on the left here of all the players in my box, and I can toggle, I tick the boxes of which players still need to be emailed. Obviously this is just one, so it's just defaulting just to Alicia only. But yeah, so it's a structure in the sense that you give the players a period of time, completely adjustable. I just did a month to make it easy. To play your matches, like I said, the onus is on them to arrange it, to enter their own results, and then everything's recorded. For ease, yes, you can do it from the Box League page here, enter result. The other way of doing it, when you log in SportyHQ.com, you just look on the left-hand side here and click enter result. The system is aware of the Box League matches that I need to play. So you can see this one's listed here. And if that's my purpose of logging in is to get that result in, you just click the name of the person in your box, and then you can just start entering the result. Points aren't necessary. I could have just put 3-0 in there at the end, but there we go. So you can see the results have been recorded, the points have been updated. I guess that's the final thing we can look at, is the different points options. So I'll just switch back to admin here. Okay, and then box settings. Okay, how is the winner calculated? So there's some flexibility here. I picked probably our most popular option, where you just put in a number of points for each game that you win, for each match that you win. Again, encouragement to actually play your matches, which can be a problem in some box leagues. It's optional, but yeah, you can add in a point just for playing the match, and then also a bonus for playing all the matches in your box. There are other options depending on, you can set a certain number of points depending on the result here. You can winners 3, losers 3. You can have a completely custom points offerings here, whatever it may be. 3, 1, you might want to give them more points. Anyway, so there's some flexibility there in how you decide how the winner is determined in each box. So really up to you which one you pick, have a look through, see which one most closely relates to an existing system or one you think might work. And then of course that sign up option where you opt in or not, opt out, is whether it's up to you whether you use it or not. So that's the box league. Again, you're missing the sign-ups and you're missing the scheduling, which does exist in a variety of other competition formats, but that's kind of the way it's built and kind of the way that most clubs use it. In that it's a member-only thing that they're typically not charged for it. That's why there's no payment integration. It's more of a case of just getting your members to play more on a semi-regular basis, and obviously, depending on how much time you give them, you can kind of enforce some sort of play schedule there. A lot of our options, we have the option to have two different scoring systems. Like for a tournament, you'll see in just a second, it actually allows you to basically give the users a choice of two different formats so typically that will be 2-11 and then 2-15. The box league doesn't currently have that. So it is something that exists in the platform, but it's not available at the box league level. At the moment, you'd have to create two boxes, like one that goes to 15 and one that goes to 11. So that was a box league very quickly. We'll jump into tournament next. I'm going down in order basically here, but box leagues and tournaments are probably the most popular two formats that we have at the club level. We can take a very quick look at teams. When you create tournament, you get the base settings, name, sport, all that sort of stuff. That's all I've gone through really, just to save us some time. So let's take a look at tournament profile. As you can see down the admin panel on the left-hand side, there's a fair amount of functionality. So I don't want to get bogged down in looking at every single element. But just to give you an overview of, I guess tournament is probably one of the most popular formats. So everyone should be somewhat aware of the structure of a tournament. But yeah, I guess the main things that we can take a look at quickly here. Auto scheduling is a big one. Some of the resources we have, like an on-screen control sheet, player check-in, the communicate, the sharing tools are probably slightly more advanced at the tournament level. So obviously the structure is different. This is about an individual playing and typically a weekend. There's the sign-up involved, so you can withdraw yourself and get a refund. Typically, people will have to pay to enter, so the payment configuration has been tied into it. So let's take a quick look at a basic tournament profile. So I'll just hide the admin for 1 second, and then we'll just run through and check out some of the more popular features that we have, just in case you're thinking about running your next club championships or a small event at the club, and you can take advantage of some of the tools to save yourself some time as an admin. Draw publish status. Yeah, there's some flexibility here about when I'm ready to publish my draws. Once I've done the scheduling and I'm happy that basically the tournament's ready to go. And I can also limit it to certain days, depending on how much you want to show initially. The sign up, again, we've looked at this in previous. We have this sign up portal that's tied in with Stripe. You can customize it however you want. There's a variety of steps where you can collect additional information, make them accept terms and conditions, all that sort of stuff. You can set a certain number of entries. You can do it by the tournament as a whole. As you can see, I think I've added like 15 people to the draw. So let's say this one's probably at 20 for the whole tournament. You can also limit it by draw as well as the entire event. So maybe some tournament, some draw types, are going to get popular early on, but you want to have a nice number. You can limit it to 8 or 16 or whatever it is you're looking to get, depending on your court times and how much sort of resources you have. I'm interested means you're not ready to sign up yet, but it will keep track for you of the tournament, the deadline, actually sends you a notification when the deadline's approaching. It also shows on your dashboard when you log in, just as a reminder. And then if the tournament had already filled up and there were no entries left, there would be an option to join the wait list. And as an administrator of the tournament, you can contact all the people on the wait list, and we can see that in just a second. Apart from that, you can add as much information as you want. Again, these are tools we've looked at before, but there's a photo stream. You can see who's already registered to see if you've got friends or players that you want to check in with that might entice you to enter the tournament. The officials, it's just the admin that's listed right now. Again, you can upload sponsors. We looked at it previously. It's the same tool. You can upload the logo and the name and everything, and also advertise potential sponsors if you want. You can upload a poster. This just comes from the club that's selected on the tournament settings page, and the early bird registration. So if you want to incentivize people to sign up earlier, you can give them a discount if you want and set a certain number of early birds if you like. Otherwise, it just defaults just a straight regular registration, and you can set a refund policy and withdrawal and what have you. So this is your standard tournament profile. This is from a sort of a non-admin perspective. And then we'll take a look. Yeah, again, there's a fair amount here, but I'll take a look at some of the more popular features that might encourage you to use this where you may not have before. We'll run through a couple here. So draw management. I've created two just to really good, show you guys what's possible. One is an individual draw. That's the pretty straightforward, individual sign up for the tournament as a particular user. The team event takes a little bit more management. Essentially, the admins have to get that information from the team captains, and then they create the lineups. So here I've created a position 1, a position 2, a position 3. And then when you get into the actual draw itself, we can take a look at the difference here, schedule and results. You can see 3 different stages of the draws being ready at this point. This first one, I've done it in bulk where you set the time and then you set the lineup. So you can see this is how you set it. It just brings up all the names that you've already added to the team. And then you just select in the box to say which position they're playing. As soon as you hit the save, that's all dialed in here. You can do it by individual string as well. You set the time 1 by 1 if you need to. But generally speaking, I can set the time in bulk for the team matchup, which is how it would typically operate. And then if I want to collect that information beforehand, like before the day or on the day, we have team nomination forms you can download and email out to the captains or have them printed out at the desk, say, on the day. But then it is a case of an admin having to put that information in, like we just looked at. And then that's what actually creates the schedule. Now for the individual, and we'll take a look at this right now, we have an auto scheduler, which is typically what's used. So we can see, let's just take a quick look at the draw as it stands right now. So I've added 7 players in. We can unlock the draw quickly. You can see we've got 42 different draw formats available in the dropdown, and they are further customizable. So I won't go into that, but basically, fun fact, we just ran our 25th 1,000th tournament on the platform. So there have been a lot over the last 10 years. So for flexibility when it comes to draw formats, we should have you covered. So as you can see, yeah, there are a lot. You can customize them further. If we don't, and you need any tweaks made, you can always let us know, and we're happy to add another one. That's how all these came about in the first place. I just picked bracket and Monrad, just as an example, just so everyone gets a few games and it all plays out to a certain position. So yeah, the process is you lock the draw. That's basically saying this is typically once the sign-up portal is closed down, i.e. your registration deadline has passed. Now you're happy with the number of players in the draw. That's when you hit lock. Once you've locked the draw, then you can start scheduling. So we'll just do it very quickly because it is quick to do. Start with scheduling times. So we're really just having the system, so it knows what club is played at from that first tournament settings page. And from that club setup, it knows that there's two squash courts available. So now we're just going to tell the system what dates are we playing the tournament. So we can do April 1, and let's say it starts at 9 a.m. and finishes at 6 p.m. And let's do April 2 as well, just to give it a little bit more. 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Okay, so that's add to calendar. Okay, so now we've told the system we've got 2 days, and these are the court times that are available to us. We'll switch over now to auto schedule matches. So regardless of how many draws you have, how many players are in the tournament, you can schedule them all from a single page in Sporty, and this is it. So you can see both these draws are locked, which means they're available to be scheduled. You don't have to schedule them all at the same time. I could have a number of draws here that are still open. Yeah, but as it is, you can see I've locked them. They've got their players in. I can see the number of players, and I can see the number of matches. So we've got 19 in total. I'm just going to come down now, and you just work your way through this page. So, what are you looking to schedule? Well, all 10. The team draws already done on a manual basis, right? So we'll just deal with the individual for now. Any brackets, we're going to do all 3 rounds at one time. All unscheduled matches, these would be the defaults that you would typically want to use just to get everything done at once. And then just from the dates that I just entered, right? It was Tuesday, today, and then tomorrow. And it's telling me I have to pick a time between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. Again, just from the information I just entered. So let's say it starts at 9, like I said. Advanced options. So do we want to give a certain minimum rest time for players between matches? Well, we do. So let's leave it at 30 minutes. I think it would typically be probably more likely 2-3 hours, but up to you. Time per match. I'll leave it as 30, but if you want, just so you can see the flexibility, if you have multiple draws, and let's say you've got a junior draw and you've got adults, when it's more likely the match times will be different, you can do it by draw here. So the individual draw, I could do 45 minutes, and then maybe a smaller draw, like say kids or young ones. You may not need to give 45 minutes for the match, especially if you've got a different scoring, best of 3 instead of best of 5, for example. We'll keep it simple for now, so 30 minutes per match. Do we want to limit the number of matches per day? Maybe in some adult events you do, might be 1 per day or 2 per day. You can do it here if you want. Just limit it to 1 per day. And then finally, down here, you're just seeing basically a check. It's showing you all the matches that are about to get scheduled. So everything with a tick box. Again, the team draw is not included. So we're just doing all the individual matches. And then we come down here and just hit schedule. Yeah, so like I said, doesn't matter how big your tournament is. All you got to do is go through these settings. And from this one page, you should be able to schedule your entire event. And we can now pop back to the individual draw. And we can see that all the matches have been scheduled. So let's take a look at what that looks like when you're actually running the tournament. Probably the most popular resource after the draws themselves would be the control sheet. Get more of an admin perspective. These will change color as they're being played. The data either comes from the live scoring app or an admin manually coming here and ticking the status boxes here, like in progress, suspended, what have you. There's a list view as well. You can print this off as a TV view. Yeah, it depends on what takes your fancy when it comes to the format in which you'll be checking along with things and entering results. Again, the Score Squash live scoring app is going to be your best option because then you don't really have to take part in entering results manually or updating the status of any of the matches. But yeah, control sheets is definitely one of the more popular ones. I'll look at one other one. This is the match calendar. Popular tool because it's a drag and drop. So the auto scheduler has populated all these matches for us. We can see the dates up here at the top, so 1st of April and then tomorrow, which none of the matches got scheduled. And then we've got the court 1 and court 2. Again, this is a drag and drop, so if I want to change the time, say from 12 to 11, I can do it just by dragging the matches around. And then if I'm not sure or I need to adjust to one of the matches and I'm not sure when they're going to be playing yet, I can just unschedule it, which would be just moving it over to the no court assigned. So it would be essentially taking it out of your live on court scheduling. But basically, yeah, typically the auto scheduler do the best job it can based on the parameters that you give it, i.e., how much time, how much rest time, time for matches per day, that sort of thing, the limits. And then you can come here between the control sheet and the match calendar. You should be able to manipulate the schedule if you need to, tweak it where you need to. And yeah, just because it's nice and easy with the drag and drop here, that's probably one of our more popular ones. Sign up configuration, again, that's the sign up portal. We've looked at it before. It's tied into various things. We'll take a very quick look just as a refresher. You haven't seen the webinars. So you can enter as yourself or you can fill in the entry for someone else. Same as before, step 1 is your personal details and your emergency contact information. Step 2, well, I've already entered the tournament, so there we go. We've already run into a problem here. But additional options would be around the additional information you want to ask them and what event they're entering. So it comes with a cost. And then we can enter ourselves. Once we've entered ourselves, we can withdraw as well. As long as it's before the withdrawal deadline, then you can get a refund. But the idea here is that the admin will create the profile itself, and then you let the players deal with it after the fact. Similar to a box league, once everything's set up, it should be the onus is on the players to manage their own entry and into the competition, and they should be able to do that once everything's set up. Various TV displays, you can print off everything that you need to if you want to put it up on the wall at the club. You can press results, you can enter unscheduled matches if there's not an actual structured draw for every single matchup that you want to have played over the weekend. You can email the participants of the tournament, of course, the prospects. That's what we just talked about a minute ago. Whether the full tournament or the draw itself is full, you can join the wait list. Then you become, the prospects. So for when you click I'm interested, this blue button here, then you can see the wait list is the one below. If we've already hit the tournament, you can buy SMS credit and you can text everybody if you think that's a better option than bulk emailing. You can also post news, like you can look at. We already have in multiple different entities there, posting news or announcements to the profile, and then the photo stream, and then we have a bunch of reporting. This is the financial one, so everyone that signs up and pays, you can see a breakdown of the fees from Stripe and how much exactly you'll be getting into your account. But apart from that, these are just CSV downloads, players, rankings, schedule, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I mean, tournament's pretty self-explanatory. I won't go into too much, but you can see that, like I said, we've just spent on 24,000. It's pretty flexible. We should have you covered. But the idea is that the admins do the initial work in setting up the profile. And then after that, the players should be able to get all the information they need, interact with it, how and when they're ready. They can track them, I'm interested if they're not quite ready to sign up or withdraw and get a refund automatically if they need to, all that sort of stuff. So it's really just, again, it's a case of, do you need this structure? Is it a tournament format over a short period of time where you have multiple different draws? Can limit the draws by, based on gender or age, anything like that. So you can make not as complicated, but you can have as many different draws as you like. And again, you've got that auto scheduler that will allow you to take care of some of the more previously sort of laborious tasks that you would have to go through, scheduling a tournament. You should be able to all do it from one page and in a matter of seconds. So there should be some tools in there that will help. And then finally, just a reminder about the live scoring app, Score Squash. That's free. You can add people to it, manage officials here. So anyone you want to add in that's perhaps not in the tournament, you just come here, add them as an official, give them a role, referee, tournament director, or official. They'll automatically have access to all the matches once they're scheduled just by opening the Score Squash app. So the live scores would stream on the tournament profile here. So right below draws, you're going to see the stream of the actual scores ticking over. And then, of course, you don't have to enter the results. The draws update automatically. So between the auto scheduler and then the live scoring app, it should take out the bulk of the requirements of tournament organizers from the past. So that's very brief overlook at tournaments. And like I said, box leagues and tournaments are probably the two more popular formats that we operate at the club level. But we'll take a look at these other ones briefly here, just in case it makes more sense for your particular club. Team leagues, again, this is generally for organizations because team leagues are essentially based on an inter-club league. So if you look at a province or a region or district, whatever it may be, it's a bunch of clubs that will typically play, let's say, once a week, and they're traveling. There's a home and away situation. And instead, I guess the main difference, and we can take a look at roughly some of the functionality, there's still the same thing. You can still get help scheduling it. The actual profile itself, you're going to see lots of similar tools like the photo stream, the sponsors, live scoring, of course. You can see who's in the league, who the organizers are. You can print team standings. I've already set this up with some basic teams here, and I've already entered just the first week's results. But the schedule you can set, again, you can do it manually or with the system's auto scheduler. I can come back here and update previous results or enter next week. So we can just take a look at that screen. Okay, so you can see the players. From the drop down, it's all the players that you've added to the team. And then there's also spares, which is available if you want to use it as a feature. Just go back here. Yeah, so one of the differences, I guess, that we can talk about briefly is the team sign up. So again, it'll be a very similar looking portal, and we can take a quick look at it because we haven't yet. First page again, personal details and emergency contact. So this, obviously previously, like we just looked at the tournament, you're looking at it from an individual perspective, and you can sign up for another individual or yourself. Here I'm saying I'm a captain or club admin, and I'm going to be entering a team. So in the sign up configuration, the admin will set how many players minimum does the team consist of? Do I have to add to create a team minimum? So let's just say it costs €10 a team here, which I've set it up as. Select the league, and then you select the division. Of course, you can have lots of different divisions here. Now, I'm either going to be, let's say you're duplicated a league from previous cycle. Let's say you've done a 2024 league or a previous season. You can duplicate the league so that all the teams exist already. And it's just a case of me picking the team that I'm the captain of, and then I can enter in the players that are going to be representing that team for the upcoming season. Alternatively, I can just create a new team. So if you've got a brand new league, none of these would exist, let's say, unless you've gone ahead and created them ahead of time. But you can let the person actually create the name of the team. So let's do team 6. You have a list of clubs there. I've just added the 1. And again, I put that default as you need 3 players. And then this is just a search like in many places of the platform. Give it a second here. That's 1. Let's do another one here. Let's find myself a dummy profile player. Here we go. And another one. Okay. I can give them a role if I want to have give them access to managing the team and entering results. So captain, let's say vice captain, and then nothing. Right, so you can see basically that this is where it differs from the individual. It's just these additional steps of being able to pick an existing team, and enter in the players that again will be representing it, or to create a new team, and then you can pay for the entire team. So yeah, steps apart from that are the same. It's literally just a team versus individual sign up. That's the main difference. Right, we're taking a look at the profile. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on this because the vast majority of clubs will not be using our team feature here. But yeah, let's quickly run through, like most of these familiar. This is where you add in the various clubs that are taking part in the league so that when you create the teams, you can assign them to a club. And again, the scheduling will take care of the home and away and every fixture for the whole cycle, as it were. Pages, well, that's this here. So you see home, then you see score sheets. You could add additional tabs along here. Maybe you want to add one for the rules of the league or whatever additional information you want to add so that people can access through the profile. Sponsors we've covered, a logo, self-explanatory, send activation emails, request sanctioning. You're probably not going to need to do that for a team league, but you could, let's say, if you're running a team league at the club level and you wanted to have it sanctioned by Squash Island, you could request that. That information would go to Squash Island and be up to them to decide. The sign-up configuration, okay, that's just where we decided, do we want to have this team sign-up option, right? I've set it to live. Do we want to enable online payments? Yes, because I wanted to charge €10. You can change your currency, early bird incentive like usual, late penalty if you want, and then I just made the price down here. This is pretty standard in all. You're just managing, you're just configuring the sign-up portal, the steps that you want people to go through. And again, with the team league, the only difference is that you're going to add in all those players that will make up the team, not just entering yourself. Again, standard resources, you can print off summary sheets, score sheets, export results, press result, print standings out, TV displays. Pretty standard in all the different competition formats, so we won't spend too much time. You got your standard mass email, pushing news out on a photo stream, and then you got your reporting. We'll move on because, like I said, you're not going to have too many team leagues based at the club level, not unless you're a big club and you've got the time to do it, as well as the provincial leagues that are operating. But yeah, certainly an option if you want to mess around. So there's no limits to it, so you can have a really small division with just a few teams if that's what you're interested in doing. Yeah, it's not a problem. The way that the app picks up matches in the system is they basically have to be scheduled. So the app basically needs to know where and when it's being played and who is going to be on the court, like which 2 players. Once that information is available in the system, it basically automatically gets picked up by the app. So by default, your team league, your tournament matches, those will get picked up because they're actually scheduled. Whereas the box league, because it's open, because you're just saying, hey, you 5 people have got to play, in the next month, because the system doesn't know when the people are playing, it doesn't automatically get picked up. So yeah, that is the way that unfortunately it is right now, and it's a little bit because of the design of a box league and the fact that there's no scheduling present. Some clubs, as a workaround, have used our tournament or team league options just so that they can actually schedule the matches. Now, it's not ideal because it's more admin work at the end. You don't have those tools that automatically promote relegate. You can remove yourself from the next box cycle and add yourself in. So you lose those tools that are specific to box leagues, but you do get the schedule part, which is some clubs have told or argued that it's better for motivating people to get their matches in. If it's something that's actually scheduled, they're more likely to show up and play rather than the box leagues where they can forget and the impetus isn't there to get it done. So experiment with trying one of the different formats if you really are looking for a little bit more discipline in terms of the structure of the league, being able to schedule, being able to live score. But at the moment, unfortunately, the box leagues just don't have that capability. So, okay, solo leagues and ladders. For the solo league, again, I've just gone through the very base settings page so we can take a look at it. It came out of a region in a large country where the clubs were essentially too far apart for them to have an inter-club league. They did want a bit more functionality to compare to the box leagues. It basically came from a club that they were running a drop-in. So by that, I mean, there's no structure in terms of, you don't have teams, like set teams playing each week. It's more of a case of who's available to come down, and matches will get organized by an admin. So it's a little bit more labor intensive from an admin perspective. Basically, the difference here is that users or members rather can come here and indicate their availability. So once a schedule's been set here, you can see I've added a few dates. I'm going to switch to a player now. So to switch to my demo profile here. I can come here and basically tell the admin, okay, I want to play on April 8th. So I'm available. I'm going to be at the club for the 6 p.m. start time. Don't know how I'm going to play yet. I'm not representing a club, but I know that I want to come down and play that night. So I can mark these, I'm available, whatever it may be, update my availability. Now, as an admin, I can go check the player availability. And you can see basically every single date. You can see who's available, and they can restrict availability. Or you can see unavailable, unavailable, available. Basically now, at this point, it comes down to the admin then setting up the matches individually, like manually, as a sense. So you can see this April 1, I've set up matches. It's basically the players that I've said that they're available are going to be in the drop down here. So I could do this person versus this person because I know they're going to show up. It's going to be on court 1, and I'll put them on at 6, and I can add additional matches if I want. So you're just using the information that the players have told you about their availability to then come and manually create matches. So there isn't any sort of formal structure in it, like the team leagues and the tournaments. It's more of, like I said, this drop-in sort of culture where you're not really sure who's going to show up, but you do want to have some organized, regular matches. And again, we've got the sign-up configuration. So it's the one thing that's missing from the box league. And again, by default, just by the way that box leagues generally are in clubs, you're not charging members to play in them. It's usually a member benefit, which is why one of the main reasons why it's not tied in. Whereas the solo league, you can charge them. You can charge them for a whole season, so they can make themselves available or not to every single match that you've scheduled, every single date in the calendar. Or you can give them a limited pass, and then you can just limit them to certain dates. So maybe if they just want to buy a half season, you'd limit them to there's half of the dates or whatever it may be. And then apart from that, it's similar to a team league. You get your standings, you get your your match data. You've got all your typical uploaded poster, sponsors, latest news, rankings, map of the club, location, etc. Obviously, it's just the fact that it's an individual and that there's no team structure. So it's a little bit more, like I said, labor intensive for the admin, because you don't really know until you're setting up the matches who's going to be available, and so you have to kind of do the scheduling yourself. But yeah, it has some of the tools that you'll find in the more structured, tournament team leagues as opposed to box leagues. So it's somewhere in the middle. Um, Again, depends on how things operate at your club now, whether you're looking to, like I said, maybe structure your competition a little bit more to encourage people to play. I actually tell them you're playing on this day at this time on this court. If the box leagues work and people generally are playing all their matches, then maybe just want to give them the freedom to arrange their own matches because they're more likely to be able to arrange it if they can choose exactly when they want to play. So it really depends on, like I say, if you want to have that, it's going to be a certain night every week, and we're just gonna arrange matches for whoever is available at that time. Or you could possibly, you'd be looking at the box league because you want to give them the flexibility of just organizing it themselves. So it's a little bit of a mix between, some of the functionality that you might be looking for that you don't see in the box leagues, and vice versa. So might be something worth exploring. Again, depending on your existing structure and if you think that there is a way to improve or to encourage people to play more often. If you're struggling with the freedom of the box leagues, maybe you want to try a solo league and see if you can pick a night where you can get a rough, decent sized group of people that are, usually around to play each week. But it should make the scheduling relatively easily because the players, as long as they're interacting, as long as they're coming to the profile and updating their availability as and when it changes, when it comes to actually setting up the matches, it should be relatively easy for the admin. So that's the solo league. I'll switch back to my admin. The last one's quite simple. Standard ladder. I guess if you ever played or you've managed competition at a club, you've probably seen a box league or heard of it, and you've probably seen a ladder. Same deal. Again, I've just created the name of it, the sport, just the very basic settings, so we can take a look at the options here. First thing we can look at the ladder. As an admin, I can enter results. I can see all past results. That's for players too. Now, in terms of actually entering the results, if I switch to my profile here, user demo, which is in the ladder, the standard one here is user initiated, which means in the settings, and we can take a look at it, club ladder here, you can set how many basically places above you that the person's able to challenge. So this league, this ladder that I created earlier, I set it to 3. So you can see that my only availability in terms of entering results are just the 3 players above me, which is identified by this green tick here. I can set it to 4 or 5, depending on how big your club's ladder is. When you create the ladder, it is just a list of everybody at the club. So it's a little bit easier than some of the other options where you have to use the search and add people in individually. So if I create a new ladder here, or I can actually just go add remove players. I've only got a few players added to this club profile, but you can see that's how it starts off. You can see everyone's SportyHQ rating, and then it's just a simple box tick to have them included in the ladder. Yeah, apart from that, so we've got a TV view if you want, where you can see the existing ladder and a stream of all the previously recorded matches. If you want website integration, so if you're using a third-party website, not one of SportyHQ's, then you can pick the JavaScript, add it into your own site, so it displays the ladder, the data you just saw. Again, the admin players is just a list of everybody at your club. Changing positions is just a drag and drop, so I can move Carly up to number 1 if I want here, based on the SportyHQ ratings. It's very simple. Ladders are meant to be simple. It's not admin intensive, so as soon as you've created the ladder and everyone's aware of the rules in place, like how far up they can challenge, you should just be able to leave it with them. And then the ladder there's no set end date, so you can kind of have it, in addition to using the other formats that we have, where there's the natural schedule over a period of time, the cycle. This one's more of like an open, you leave it there, and players that are willing or motivated, they can do it, and well, it's up to you either way. But yeah, pretty straightforward in terms of functionality. There's no sign up, integration, no auto scheduling. Of course, it's similar to the box leagues in this fashion that it's more flexible. You just leave it to the players to organize it themselves. So yeah, definitely it can be a combination. I know the tournaments is a specific sort of format, and you probably have like a club championship, so maybe one or two other a year, but that would be about it. But for the regular play, when you're trying to impact your SportyHQ rating, encourage competition at the club, encourage people to want to get better, to improve, to get the wins, to improve their rating or improve their club ranking. Creating a ranking list is really simple. I've already done it. And you can see here, well, again, there's only 6 players, so this is not a big ranking list. But if you do want to have one, nice and easy to do it. You just go to ranking lists, and we can ignore the one I created earlier because it just takes a second. Oh, go into category. We will just go create list. Create ranking list. So yeah, there's a few filters. The classic one for a club is just to have all your members display. You could split it depending on the size of your club between men and women or junior and adult if you want. All you would do is come back here and create multiple lists, and then you just use these preferences. So again, if I wanted to do a men's and a female list, I would just create one with this box ticked and then create a new one with just the female box ticked. I can limit the age, again, if I wanted to do a junior versus adult or a master's ranking list. And then you can limit by residence, you can limit by specific players as well. And then the confidence factor is the system's confidence in the rating that you have. Basically, if you haven't played any matches, your confidence will be 0. So this is a way just to remove those people from the ranking list. So you don't have all sorts of people sat there that aren't actually really active players. This would just be a way to get rid of them. Provisional, just so you understand, the system, when a new player is added, let's say they start playing, it takes 5 matches for the system to be able to come up with a rating that it's somewhat confident in being closely accurate. Until that point, until you've played a number of matches, so the system has an idea of who you're beating, who you're losing to, you'll just be shown as provisional. So you won't be drastically impacting anybody else's rating because the system doesn't really know what level you're at yet. So that's just ways of, I guess, tidying up or cleaning up your ranking list, depending on whether you do want to show every single person at your club, even the ones that are not playing or are brand new and not really settled into a position yet, and you can hide them if you want. But again, you're just trying to, you want people to have that number. They can impact it. They can enter challenge matches. So again, you just come here, enter results. So it's going to show me my outstanding box league matches, but it's also going to show me, and you can see my profile has a few different boxes that I'm tied to, but I can also enter a challenge match, right? So that's just me finding somebody at the club saying, hey, do you want to have a match that actually counts for ranking points? And we'll enter it in Sporty afterwards. So you can do that. Also, if you just want to record the match, but it has no impact on your SportyHQ rating, you can just enter it as a friendly. So you've got a few different options here. Again, the box league just shows you outstanding matches. If you're in a tournament or a team league, your upcoming matches will show on your dashboard, but mostly people will interact with the actual profile itself, because that's where you get the schedule and the sign up and all the other various tools that these admins may or may not be using. Just for admins, you can enter match results. Let's say there's a couple of guys at the club and they haven't activated their profile, or they're not, online, not savvy in terms of doing it themselves. If they just want to email you the result or give it to you, you can just come here and enter it for them. Nice straight search, enter the scores if you need to, but you don't have to. You could just enter it 3 love. And then recent results, well, there aren't any, but that's just a page of any matches that have been entered at the club level. And then I'll show you one other. If somebody has, let's say you've entered somebody new at the club level, maybe they've played their 5 matches, but maybe they've accidentally gamed it, or they played, 5 people that are too low for them. And so the system's given them a starting rating after their 5 matches, but perhaps it is too low, and you don't want to then start impacting other people's ratings by having somebody with what you could argue was inconsistent or wrong initial rating. If you want, you can come here, and let's say you want to change somebody's. So I'm saying 15, 18. Well, maybe I started way too low. The adjustment date is the only one that's important here. So let's say I played all my matches after April 1. right? So the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and sixth, I played all these matches, but I played them with an incorrect rating. So now I've impacted those 5 other people by having a rating that was way too low, and then I say 3 love. Well, now I've taken points off all these players that if I'd had a rating initially that was more accurate, then that wouldn't have happened to the other guys. I wouldn't have been taking all their points if I started off where I should have started off. So let's say I should have been roughly 2,000. You shouldn't have to do this too often, because as long as there are players in the system, and we rolled this out across Ireland, a number of years ago. So most players, or a lot in the system, will have a rating that somewhat makes sense. But if it does happen, you can come here and you can adjust it. All you have to do is put in a date that's previous to when they started playing those matches that were having an impact on players that they shouldn't have. So just put in any date before, close to it, let's say April, and I could come in and do April 30th, March 31st, adjust it to the correct points, and then apply the adjustment. The next basically result that gets entered against that profile, that person, all those matches that I've already played, and again, I'm talking about in the future, which is confusing, but the April 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th matches I've played, it will then readjust them. So it'll basically go back through the ranking algorithm. It'll go back through and it'll treat it as I had 2,000 points as opposed to 1518. And in that case, the matches where I won 3 love, I probably wouldn't have been taking the points off those lower ranked players because my rating was wrong. So you can adjust the player's rating. You shouldn't need to too often. Like I said, when you add a new member, you can kind of put in their rough level. The system will take it from there and obviously examine the first 5 results that you enter against that person. And that's when the system will come up with that starting rating, if you were, after you've gone from provisional to fully ranked player. But if you need to make an adjustment, you can. So yeah, it's about an hour, and we've done a bit of an overview of the different formats. Like I said, it really depends on what structure you have in your club at the time and what features you're looking at. Do you want to charge them? Do you want to schedule the matches? Do you want to give them more freedom to do it on their own time? Some of them are slightly more admin intensive. Some of them require more admin effort at the beginning, but then they're set up and they just go. So it really depends on what you think might suit your particular club and your particular member base. But yeah, the tournaments and the team leagues, just to reiterate, they're the ones where it's scheduled, so you can use the live scoring app. The solo leagues, the ladders, and the box leagues, they're the ones that are a little bit more like drop-in / more open sort of formats where you kind of leave it up to the members to deal with it themselves, and that you hope that, well, the fact that they've opted in, but also the fact that they've got this rating that they can impact by playing matches, is kind of one of the bigger points behind it, that they can, they have that sort of goal to improve, and when there's a number behind that, it usually has more of an impact on the player themselves rather than just entering results for the sort of fun of it. So yeah, we haven't gone into a deep dive into any one format, purely because we're pretty much at an hour just for looking at overviews, but you should be able to access everything you need to from the admin panel. Some are more in-depth than others. The tournament one is probably where most of our functionality lies, because that's where the most requests have come over the years with the 25,000 plus events that have gone through it now. Whereas, like I said, the ladders and the box leagues are more simple by design in a way, but just because they're based on existing box leagues and ladders that we had running in the clubs early on Sporty. And yeah, generally speaking, most clubs, wherever you go in the world, funny enough, but when it comes to the box league and the ladder, generally operate in a similar way if you do have that in your club. So yeah, you can play with them. Like I said, the box leagues, the main feedback we get is people not playing, and that's why we have that scoring system where you can reward people for playing a match or reward people for playing all their matches, which we do find helpful. But if you still struggle, you might want to look at one of the formats that has scheduling, so i.e. the solo league, or maybe even tweaking a tournament league. A tournament. You could even use a team league feature. You could have teams where there's just one player on them. You can call the team the player name, and this has been done by some leagues out there. And instead of operating a box league, they actually have, again, they're using the team league feature, but every team is just one player, just because they want some of the tools that are available, i.e. signing up and charging people to sign up, and the also scheduler. But yeah, then you lack the obvious structure of a box league, and some of the specific box league functionalities that you do get. So there isn't one format that just has all the different options and you can just choose which one you want, unfortunately. And that's why tonight's hopefully been somewhat helpful, because we do have these different formats, and it is challenging, especially if the system's new, to know which one is best for your club right off the bat. So it's definitely worth exploring a bit. Like I said, they all come with slightly different functionality sets. But yeah, the main ones are definitely payment integration and scheduling. They're the two that we usually sort of determine what format the admin ends up picking. But yeah, they're all there, and I guess it's really up to you at that point, depending on the club, which one you go for, whether you go for a multitude of variety of options at the club.